This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather Ho, there's Jeff Cutter Davy welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe on the State. And on this day, October 2nd, 1991, the Toronto Blue Jays wrapped up their third AL East crown. I know it sounds a little bit biased because, from the Toronto area, but this was a magical time. Not only did the Jays win the division, they also did something that no Major League team had ever done. So anyway, the 91 Blue Jays were a decent team, coming off the 1990 season in which they lost on the final day of the season in the division when Boston won thanks to that Tom Bernansky sliding catch, which we don't know if it was legal or not. Well, the Blue Jays looked a little bit better and all that. So Blue Jays needed to do something massive and all that for the year. So coming off the disappointment of 1990, the Blue Jays would shock the baseball world by making two massive trades at the 1990 winter meetings. Pat Gillick, the GM, was known as Stan Pat, basically didn't make many moves. However, he made a couple of giant moves. In a deal that didn't really sit well. December 2nd, he picked up Devon White and a few other people from California, the Angels, for Junior Felix, Luis Sojo, and a player to be named later. It was shocking because Junior Felix was this great outfielder who came onto the scene great in 1989 and all that. So yeah, it was basically Junior Felix for Devon White. Devon was known for his Gold Glove winning thing. So they did all that. However, December 5th, 1990 would be bigger than the Devon White move. The Padres and Blue Jays made a massive deal. The Blue Jays and Padres actually talked about trading Carter for McGriff. The Jays wanted Carter, the Padres wanted McGriff. They needed a first baseman because Jack Clark was being lost to free agency. And the Blue Jays had John Olerud ready to play first base. But they lost George Bell in free agency to the Cubbies. Gillick actually wanted to acquire Roberto Alomar. All that. And decided to get rid of Fernandez. So anyway, the trade was the Blue Jays would acquire Roberto Alomar and Joe Carter from San Diego for Fred McGriff and Tony Fernandez. Partially an awkward move because Tony Fernandez was one of the best shortstops in Blue Jays history, and not the best shortstop in Blue Jays history, I think. So, anyway, yeah, McGriff, they had Olerud, so they were solid. And Robbie Alomar was a great second baseman for the Blue Jays in his 5 seasons with the team. And Joe Carter, well, I don't need to tell you about Joe Carter's heroics with the Blue Jays. So anyway, the Blue Jays picked up this guy named Pat Tabler and from free agency. Well, regardless of that, in the regular season, the Blue Jays were decent. The Blue Jays were 12-9 in April, 3 games above 500 in May, 4 games above 500 June, 4 above 500 July, 1 game above in August, 2 games above 500 September. In October, they were 4-1, which was actually shocking that the Blue Jays went through every month without a losing record. So they had a winning record in every month. The Blue Jays would have tough competition from Boston, Detroit, and Milwaukee. Boston, obviously, because they were the 1990 division champs. The Tigers at Cecil Field, they're the former Blue Jay, looking good. And the Brewers were starting to pick up speed. The Blue Jays were negatively hit hard because on May 1st, 1991, that was when Nolan Ryan got no-hitter number 7 off of the Blue Jays. Nevertheless, the Blue Jays looked decent, and they actually picked up Tom Caninati in a massive deal. They picked up Caninati and Turner Ward from Cleveland for Denny Boucher, Glenn Allen Hill, Mark Winnan, and cash. It's hard to see. Well, Denny Boucher was a Canadian. He found his way to the other Canadian team, Montreal, but still. Glenn Allen Hill, known for his 500-foot home run as a Cub on the Waveland. Mark Winnan, who went from Cleveland to St. Louis and had a 12 RBI double header against him when he had 4 home runs in one game and cash. Well, anyway, the Blue Jays picked up Candy Maldonado from Milwaukee. Kind of a small trade, but it worked out in a little bit. Dave Parker was even signed for the Blue Jays late in September. The Cobra. I can't believe Dave Parker was a Toronto Blue Jay. And all that. That was the last season of his career at 91. I don't know if he played for the Blue Jays or not. He was actually not allowed to play on the postseason roster because he was acquired too late in the season. So, yeah. Anyway, the Blue Jays picked up Sean Green in the 91 drafts in the first round. So, yeah, they looked pretty impressive and all that. And then came October 2nd. Their Magic number was 1. All they needed was 1 win, and they would be the AL East champions. California Angels were giving them fits and all that. The Angels scored the first run on Max Venable's sac fly off of Tom Candiani. Then Gary Gaetti hit an RBI double to score Dave Winfield and Lee Stevens to make it 3-0. Oh yeah, Kevin Flora was the guy who scored on the sac fly, if you must know. The Blue Jays were not getting to Joe Gray until the 5th inning when Devon White hit an RBI single to score the Cobra Dave Parker, and Roberto Alomar drew a bases-loaded walk, scoring Pat Borders. Off of Scott Biles, Candy Maldonado slugged a 2-0 pitch over the left field line, over the left field fence, to score him and Johnny Olerud to make it 4-3. So, anyway, the Blue Jays looked decent. And then when David Wells, in his first tour of duty with the Blue Jays, didn't know that he pitched for the Blue Jays in the early 90s. But David Wells gave up a leadoff home run to Dave Winfield, future Blue Jay, to tie the game at 4. In the bottom of the 8th, the Blue Jays made some big moves. Well, Cliff Young came in for the Angels with 2 outs in the 8th. Rance Mulliniks was going to pinch hit for Manny Lee, but after Eichhorn, the former Blue Jay, was pitching and replaced by Cliff Young, Pat Tabler would come in for Mulliniks. Derek Bell would pinch run for Borders. Unfortunately, Tabler grounded out. So Greg Myers went to play catcher, and Rene Gonzalez played shortstop. John Orden walked against Wells. Sean Abner came in to pinch run. Flora hit a bunt and got Abner the second. Luis Polonia struck out looking, and then Mike Timlin came in to pitch, but Dave Gallagher hit a single to score Abner and make it 5-4 Angels. Ruben Amaro Jr. hit a single, but was thrown out at the plate by Carter. Now Gallagher was thrown out at the plate by Gallagher. So Brian Harvey, the great closer who led the American League in saves in 1991, came out to pitch the bottom of the 9th. Lance Parrish would play catcher. Sean Abner would go to center, and Dave Gallagher would go to right field. Devon White, on the first pitch, hit a single to score. Roberto Alomar came up on an 0-1 pitch. He hit a ball that Kevin Flora completely botched and threw away into center field. Devo scampered all the way home to tie the game, and Alomar went to second base. Alomar made the gutsy move to steal third base, and then all Carter needed to do was drive a pitch. And Carter lifted one over the drawn-in infield to score the run. Blue Jays win 6-5, and that ends that. The Blue Jays win the 1991 AL East, their 3rd division title in history. Amazing what they could do. So the Blue Jays would go on to face the Twins. Ironically, the Blue Jays had to go to Minneapolis to finish the season in a 3-game series with the Twins and win 2 out of 3. However, the postseason was a different kettle of fish. The Blue Jays did win Game 3, or was it Game 4? I think it was Game 4. Yeah, they won a game against the Twins. But the Twins used power of Mike Pagliaro in Game 3 with a pinch hit home run, and also Joe Carter slammed into the wall and got hurt and missed the rest of the postseason after Game 3, which hurt the Blue Jays dearly. But the Blue Jays would have more core pickups in 92 and 93 and were World Series champs those 2 years. So you can't hate on the Blue Jays for that. Oh, and that thing I told you about, that the AL East title was not the only thing about that day. Well, the Blue Jays had another sellout. And with that sellout, the Toronto Blue Jays did something that no Major League team ever did. They put up 4 million fans. 4 million! Sorry, the Blue Shirt Underground thing. Oh, sound clip getting to me. So, yeah, they were the first Major League club to hit 4 million fans. Not the Yankees, not the Cubs, not the Red Sox, not even the Expos. Not even the Phillies, who played in a 60,000 seat stadium. The Blue Jays, with their 55,000 capacity and all that, the fans came out in droves to the Sky Dome. They got, 3.9 million? Or was it 3.8 million in 1990? But they finally got to 4 million, which was huge. They did it again in 1992. Unfortunately, though, that record would not be had. The Blue Jays record was surpassed by the Colorado Rockies. Well, it's biased because they were playing at Mile High Stadium, which holds more fans per game than the Blue Jays for capacity. But still, the Blue Jays were the first team to hit 4 million fans in a season, and you can't beat that. Anyhow, I'm Jeff. I'm going to do